Yo, what is going on everyone in the crypto space? Thank you guys for tuning into the channel today. I really do appreciate it. So today we're going to be really discussing why XRP will be listed on Erisx, Bakkt, Fidelity, and Nasdaq. It's just quite too clear that that is eventually going to happen at some point or another. And we're going to spend this video discussing on some very elaborate reasons on why I do believe more assets will be added to these platforms. So, let's go ahead and get into it. XRP for the day, up about 0.5%, volume around 400 million, so not too bad in terms of liquidity, and price is staying fairly stable. And we got that about, say just about rounded up about 3 billion lead on Ethereum and Bitcoin, kind of battling the 4,000 area. So let's go ahead and get into it. So one thing that really sparked my interest today, I absolutely just made like a light bulb go off my head pretty much, is that Erisx Digital, they come out today on their high horses going, competing with Nasdaq, Bakkt, and Fidelity for institutional business will make an interesting race. Launching with so they try to kind of like embrace themselves about how they're better than Nasdaq, Bakkt, and Fidelity just as a marketing move, that they're launching with 4 different tokens, and then it may give Erisx a leg up on the competition. Now, pretty hysterical quote by DAI, listing XRP would give you 2 legs up. Pretty good there. And pretty much every single one of these comments, what you got to notice is with all of these, institutional backed platforms that are, coming out, when they tweet out stuff, the XRP community just raids the reply section. So from a business perspective, they're going like, man, these really want us to list XRP. That's one of the reasons why I think they're going to get listed. So Erisx, they come out and say, hey, we're better because, Bakkt, Nasdaq, and Fidelity, all they said as of now is that they are launching with Bitcoin. At least they're going to be launching exclusively first with Bitcoin, then might plan to add tokens later in the future. So what was funny though, is you see Erisx, they come out and go, hey, we're listing our Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and I think Litecoin, just a bunch of sheet coins really in the end. So they kind of take the high horse and go, we're going to be probably the most dominant among Nasdaq, Bakkt, and Fidelity, and we'll make an interesting race because, we're launching 4 tokens and all of these companies are only launching with 1 initially. And what's funny is, I don't know if this came out before or after, but today it comes out that Fidelity may expand crypto custody more assets. Now, at first I thought this was sort of a kind of clickbait, based on anonymous sources kind of thing, but CCN was actually coming at it with the sources. And Tom Jessup, the head of Fidelity Digital Assets, which is the subsidiary of the major Fidelity company that has like 7-something trillion under management, something crazy like that, right? So Tom Jessup, the head of Fidelity Digital Assets, a cryptocurrency custodial service provider operated by Fidelity, said that the organization is evaluating the demand for the top 5 cryptocurrencies in the market and may potentially integrate support for the remaining assets. Now again, if you're going to be analyzing the top 5 cryptocurrencies, it would make the most sense to list the number 1 altcoin, because you want to list Bitcoin, but what's something after that? What are you going to list after that? What I don't see them doing, unlike Coinbase, which is just probably one of the worst exchanges I've ever seen operate in my life, where instead of adding the most popular tokens at the top, Coinbase, they take the strategy of going down to Tron, or no, not Tron, but what do they go down to? They listed, OX and BAT, all these tokens down here that have pretty much no demand. So from Fidelity's standpoint, they actually do want to, they're going to evaluate the top 5 currencies and, decide which ones would be best added to the platform that'll drive, the most volume, make the most money. They're profit motivated. Now, what better coin to list than the number 1 altcoin? Literally, what better? It's like, if you're going to be an exchange and you want to list tokens, you obviously want to list the highest tokens first, because chances are, if you get into cryptocurrency, and let's say you don't want to invest in Bitcoin, you're investing in something else among the top cryptocurrencies and maybe diversifying a bit down in these lower currencies. But for the most part, if you're not in Bitcoin, you're in the other top currencies. And what better currency to list than the number 1 altcoin that actually has pretty decent volume on the daily? And as we do know with XRP, I noticed with XRP, we get a lot of volume swings. I don't know if that has to do with any like bank sort of kind of bank testing or X rapid trials or whatnot, but I'd say like about a week and a half ago, we actually moved up from $300 million in volume to about 1.5 billion in the span of a couple days. And it happens, pretty quick. So usually on like a good day, XRP is at about above $1 billion in volume. So if they're going to evaluate the top 5 currencies, I believe really that XRP has the best chance of getting on there, because Ethereum, I believe they're going to list Ethereum as well, because the third largest. Stellar, I don't know if they would really consider listing that, given the credibility of the founder of that coin. And Bitcoin Cash, I believe they'll probably do the same thing as well, because it's just essentially Bitcoin again. And also, again, another thing to note, when things like this get tweeted out, the reply section is all just the XRP community, which is awesome. So, and what's really cool, guys, about you guys, especially watching the video, and the XRP community on Twitter, is that the community really does make an impact. The community is not just a bunch of people who speculate and that's it. We actually really do have an impact. Like, for example, Digital Asset Investor, he put out a tweet saying, like, hey, Forbes, we'd really like you to correct the market cap, correctly. And then a couple of days later, actually today, Forbes comes out with the actual market cap calculated by the 99 billion supply. So we really do have an impact. And now I'm going to tie this directly into the next piece of info from Bakkt, which was back in November, but still very relevant to what I'm discussing. Because look what happens. What do you think happens when a business tweets out on a social media platform, hey, we'll consider adding additional contracts as the landscape evolves and as we receive additional customer feedback about what they want and need. So they're definitely, you're going to be more open to what the customers are saying, unlike Coinbase. Because with these institutions that are backed by, like all the big Wall Street boys, I feel like there's not going to be as much bias towards certain coins, because they're not really in the crypto space because they like the tech, like most exchanges are. It's more they're just kind of in to sell as much currency as possible and make the most cash at the end of the day. So they're not going to have any bias towards, really, in my opinion, I don't think they're having any bias towards certain coins like Bitcoin and XRP and whatnot. I think they're just going to try to put as much coins out there to try to make the most revenue. That's just what a business does. But Coinbase, again, doesn't understand that. So my point being is, when this is what the community really has an effect on these institutional backed exchanges. So, and they're even actually clearly stating that they're waiting to receive additional customer feedback about what they want, because they're going to listen to the customers. And what happens, guys, when Bakkt, they come out and make a tweet like this, and then literally every single thing in the comments is saying add XRP. I kid you not, I can keep scrolling for days. You can just quickly glance. It's just XRP all over the place. It's all XRP, except for little Digibyte and Verge shills. I don't know, those are really irrelevant. But for the most part, 90% of these replies are all saying to add XRP. And it's people of the community who are passionate and telling Bakkt, like, hey, there's really some great reasons why you should list XRP. And what happens is, when these businesses, just business in general, when they put something out on social media and they get a lot of requests, naturally, when the demand is there, they're going to provide the product. And Bakkt, they do even state this is not out of reach either, because they do state that they are open to adding more digital currencies. And guys, just in general business, you want to offer the most products as possible. I mean, let's take this for example, something you guys, I think we can all relate to. If you go to a YouTuber's merch store, sadly, mine isn't operating anymore. Me and Shopify don't get along too well. But if you go to any like YouTuber's merch store, right? It doesn't have to be the crypto YouTubers, like any kind of YouTube merch, right? When you go onto these websites, do they only offer like one kind of shirt and that's about it? No, they add a lot of variety, because as consumers, and we go to a business, we like to have the option of choice and look around, maybe pick something. We don't want just one certain thing. Why do you think chains like Walmart are so big? They literally have everything you really need at a Walmart, essentially. And that's why they're so successful, because they offer a lot of products. And this is the same way with exchanges. Like, look at Binance, Poloniex, and Bittrex, like the smart exchanges. They list tons of currencies to get as much volume in as possible. Now, over time, I believe they're going to add, more of the lower assets, but initially, they're going to want to try to capture the most volume. So I think with Bakkt, they want to add new currencies. Fidelity, they're wanting to add new currencies. Erisx is launching 4 currencies, but I feel like what's going to kind of happen, but my prediction, what's going to happen between Bakkt, Fidelity, and Erisx, is that now they're going to have like a token listing competition to try to list as much out there as possible, to get people to come to their platform and say, hey, we have the most currencies, as like, a PR move. So really interesting stuff there. So now, kind of next point, which also ties into yesterday's video of regulation. So Nasdaq, they are kind of the latest one to the crowd of, hey, we're bringing out a cryptocurrency exchange futures contracts platform, right? Because now, guys, I feel like, I don't want to take credit for this, but I kind of feel like a couple months ago, let me know you guys if I really did say this in the comments below, because I report on a lot of stuff, but I remember saying something like with SBI. I remember when SBI came out, I said, guys, I think a trend now here is going to be, we're going to see a lot more institutional backed exchanges, because just as a domino effect, businesses copy each other to stay relevant, really. So Nasdaq, they're the latest one to the game saying, hey, we're bringing cryptocurrency contracts. And listen to this right here. It says by leveraging Nasdaq's, okay, so what I'm about to read to you, it sounds like they're insinuating that they are going to add like, a majority of the crypto market, not just one currency. So Nasdaq says right here that by leveraging Nasdaq's stock market surveillance system called SMARTS, as well as the trusted pricing benchmarks provided by MVIS, the aim is to inspire confidence with regulators and institutions trying to get involved in the crypto markets. In the crypto markets, not trying to get involved into Bitcoin, but trying to get involved in the crypto market. So Nasdaq, they're already insinuating that they're gonna actually have an entire market, not just one cryptocurrency. I mean, imagine if the Nasdaq and New York Stock Exchange and the Dow Jones, imagine if they only had one stock each. It's just that's not how business works. And listen to this. Listen to this right here. Kind of ties back in with yesterday's video about regulation. He says, what I like to point out is that we ran a few extra miles working with the CFTC. They're kind of similar in with the SEC, except they regulate commodities. SEC regulates securities. So he says, what I'd like to point, I'm really excited about this because I don't know how I didn't catch this for yesterday's video when we were just talking crazy about regulation. So again, what I'd like to point out is that we ran a few extra miles working with the CFTC to bring about new standards for custody and surveillance. Again, they engage with the CFTC, again, engaging with the regulators, exactly what Ripple's doing. Engaging with regulators is a seriously smart play. So they engage with the CFTC to bring about new standards for custody surveillance. What does that sound like to you when they meet with the CFTC and say they're going to bring new standards of custody and surveillance? That means the CFTC is gearing up to start regulating these crypto markets for these institutional backed exchanges, and this seriously has me excited. So guys, all of these exchanges you're seeing, and I'm pretty sure before the end of the year, I guarantee we're going to see like one more institutional backed exchange come out. Maybe it might be like the Dow Jones or some equities market or something like come out and start backing a contract platform. But again, guys, just to prove my point, Erisx, they're listing multiple, and they're kind of boasting about how they're listing more, so they're already going to be the most susceptible exchange to want to list a ton of more tokens because they're going off the launch with all these currencies, unlike the other ones just starting off with Bitcoin, to kind of gradually have client onboarding. So Erisx, they seem like the most susceptible one to be like, hey, and get into a token war, or just listing a bunch of coins just to kind of drive some competition, right? And then Fidelity, they're clearly stating they're gonna evaluate the top 5 cryptocurrencies. What better one to list than the number one altcoin? Bakkt is even saying we'll consider contracts as the landscape evolves and we receive more customer feedback. And literally the entire reply section is all XRP. Now, if you're Bakkt and you put out this kind of tweet and you see everyone in the comments, like 2,000 people who commented saying add XRP, as a business, what do you think you are going to do? And the Nasdaq, they already make that insinuation, like they are, like they are going to actually list a bunch of cryptocurrencies. So last kind of thing I do want to update you guys on is that topology, we might be seeing a network update pretty soon. Just today, 1.2 beta 8 debug just came out. So when the debugs really come out, I believe in terms of like if you're like in the developer space, what I've learned from other developers, people who are in the XP community that are developer, but they develop things like kind of outside of cryptocurrency, is that once you get to that debug phase, that's when you're about, I'd say, a couple weeks out, maybe a week, best case scenario, out from actually having that as the next current stable version. So I don't know if 1.2 is Xcurrent 4.0 or is another addition on top of updating Xcurrent 4.0. So we really don't know what's going on there, but we do know if the network's being updated, then it's really just it's updating for the good. And also, guys, the nodes are 7 away from 1,000, so when we do reach 1,000 nodes, we'll be doing a 100 XRP giveaway on stream whenever it hits 1,000. So thank you guys for watching this video. I believe all these institutional backed platforms, I 100% believe they're going to list XRP, especially because if you're going to list Bitcoin and you want to list more coins, why would you not list the #1 altcoin in the market that already has serious traction within financial institutions around the world? And wait till these institutional backed platforms research into XRP and really realize what they're truly doing. So thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, check the links in the description, support the channel, get yourself Nano S, be like these institutions and get it into cold storage. I'm telling you guys, get it offline. It's the safest way to go long term. So, and make sure to turn on post notifications so you never miss a video stream. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in this video today. Make sure to let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next one.